following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Oh gosh, crazy.
What an opening. What an opening, everyone.
And they've turned it off. All right. Welcome, everyone, to No Credentials Required. We're Unit Media Press to talk sports. We are proudly presented by Belly Up Sports. My name is Ryan McCarthy. I'm your host. To my right is a man who says he'll never play football again if he can't play both ways. Dustin.
That's right. That's right. I need to play at kicker on both sides of the ball, or else.
Wow.
An ultimatum. Ultimatum right here. We're going to get into why Ryan opened with that line, but I'm happy to be here, ready to do the show. It's always a good way to kind of, pseudo start the week because Tuesday's just Monday in disguise. But I'm happy to be here with you, sir. How are you?
Yeah, Tuesday is just Monday's older brother.
Yeah.
I'm doing all right. Been a busy day, inside and outside of work. I'll share those details, outside in the green room afterwards. But we got a lot to talk about, Dustin. We got to talk some old news that we didn't get a chance to cover while I was away. We've got a draft pick, a prospective draft pick being a baby. We've got a sideline reporter shooting his shot. We got lists. We got a playoff drought continuing. And we got our favorite athletes. Tour number 26. We've got a loaded show tonight.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But before we do all that, we just got to remind the people to follow us on social media. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Just search for No Credentials Required. You can also find many of our other podcasts and written articles at bellyupsports.com. And on the podcast side, you can subscribe to the podcast wherever you find podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, and Pandora. And also, please don't forget, hit that notification bell on Twitter and on YouTube. That way you know when we go live, when we have videos up, when we have show announcements. I forgot to say, Justin said it last time, but I'll mention it again. Congratulations to Nick, Dustin's brother-in-law, for winning the OV Goal Watch 2025 contest. He guessed the date correctly. Granted, it was 14 minutes before the goal actually happened, but it still counts.
It does.
They don't ask how, they just ask how many. So we want to give a special shout out to him. Dustin did it towards the end of the last episode. But yeah, I'm sad that OV Watch is over, but don't be sad that it's over. Be glad because you won some prizes.
Yeah, yes.
And speaking of the podcast, on the podcast side, rate, review, comment, leave a 5-star rating, review, leave a review on a platform that you can review, and also on Spotify, leave us a comment. If you're watching this on the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel, this is the replay. Leave us a comment about your favorite part of the episode, or if you have a comment about anything we talked about tonight, leave it in the comment below. And we are a live show most Tuesdays and at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, and on Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern. Dustin won't be joining us this Saturday. I've got a guest in mind, but stay tuned to the socials. I'll reveal who that is. But in the meantime, this will be the last time he hears it this week. But it's always better. It's always better when you hear it anyway. So my watch is saying something, Dustin.
It's chime time.
It certainly is. All right, and we're gonna get things going. Hey, Playmaker joining in says, "No cred, bros." What's going on,
up, Playmaker?
You're
out there hustling. Yeah.
Yes, and congratulations to your Florida Gators for winning the national championship last week. We didn't get a chance to mention it on Saturday's program, but I watched the game before I fell ill on Tuesday. I watched most of the game. And that ending, man, that I had to have you had to have our playmaker brother. He must have been going crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. He might have been asking, who is it gonna be? No, I tried to tie Michael Jackson into the show. It didn't work. I should have sang it, but I was afraid that my rendition would be so great that we'd get a copyright strike from Michael's attorneys, or more accurately, Michael's estate attorneys.
As long as it's under 15 seconds, we won't have to pay royalties. That's why I've been told.
All right.
But we're going to catch up on some news that happened. We didn't get a chance to talk about it on Saturday, but we would have talked about it last week. And that is one Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and his enormous contract, his elephant, albatross, whatever of a contract, 14 years, $500 million, going to be surrendered by the Toronto Blue Jays that we know of for the next 14 seasons.
Yeah.
And I got to look over the details of the contract, Dustin, but I'll try to break it down here.
All right.
So looking at the contract, and actually Yahoo News came out with an article on Thursday with the details. So this is courtesy of Yahoo Sports. This year will be a 1-year deal agreed to that was already previously agreed to in January. Okay. 1 year, $28.5 million. He'll get an initial $200 million of the signing bonus that he's getting within 30 days of the contract's approval by Major League Baseball. Now, these are his salaries going forward. And again, this is a lot of it is a signing, has to do with a signing bonus. So these are not combined. So This is what's going on. Toronto will have bonus payments due on June 30th from every year from next year through 2039. And they are as follows: 13 million, 14 million, 16 million, 18 million, 20 million in 2030, 31, and 32, 22 million in 2023, 2033 and 2034, 23 million 2035, followed by 24 million, 29 million, 31 million, and at the end of this contract in 2039, $33 million. These are just the signing bonus payments.
Yeah, that's outlandish. I get that they're probably going to try to defer the money or do some of the things that, but I mean, I can't believe this. First of all, it makes both of us look stupid because we both thought they were blowing up their core. But who knows that who can you keep when you have somebody? Now, correct me, Vlad, I believe, is 26. So 10 years into this deal, he'll be 36 years old. By the end of this deal, when they're still paying him a $23 million signing bonus, he's going to be terrible. There's no, and this is no disrespect to Vlad, but he'll be in his, if I'm doing some quick math, he'll be 40 at that point, or over 40. So that's, if I'm right about him being 26 years old, which I believe I am. But man, this was
correct.
This was a surprising move. I was shocked by this just because you and I both thought that they were going to blow up their core, but maybe they've kind of done that because baseball, they don't have. I don't know. I don't know who they would be able to put around him. I feel I'm never a proponent of these long-term deals, Ryan, because at the end of them, I mean, look at what an albatross A-Rod's deal was for the Yankees by the end of it. And he typically, his skills did not erode at the level that some people did. For all the hate that A-Rod gets, he was still decent for a not, I wouldn't say he was decent for more of the deal than he wasn't. I will say that. But the last years on that contract were pretty rough, and I don't suspect Vlad's going to be any different. And I guess the Blue Jays, when we thought they were going to be sellers, they're a big buyer into one piece of their core.
Yeah, and I looking at the details of this contract a little bit more. I'm not totally mad at it because most of that salary that he's getting is basically a signing bonus. So that money that he's earning, it will not be exempt since he lives in. He's a resident of the state of Florida.
Okay.
So his whatever he's signing as a signing bonus gets exempt from state tax.
Yeah.
And his signing bonus is also protected from any work stoppages, which I'll talk about in just a moment. But this contract, I ain't mad at it. I'm not mad at it because a lot of it is it's not going to count. It looks like it's not going to count against the luxury tax, that dreaded. I wouldn't say it's the dreaded luxury tax
Okay.
because it was meant to be a deterrent. The luxury tax was meant to be a deterrent since it wasn't. There's no salary cap in Major League Baseball. And I think it's going to be a big talking point when the CBA comes about
Yeah.
at the end of next year. Since there's no salary cap, the luxury tax was put in as the deterrent from the bigger clubs, these bigger batter clubs, so-called batter clubs, from spending as much as they do because they get penalized for going over a certain threshold. Not that it matters because these teams are going to spend anyway.
Yeah.
They'll happily pay the luxury tax, which funnels down to the teams that don't pay as much.
Mm-hmm.
Athletics, Pirates, Reds, looking at you guys.
Yep. No, and that's it's always a double-edged sword, isn't it? But the luxury tax, that was my problem with it. I didn't have a problem with the bigger clubs being taxed more at the time. Of course, Boston, Yankees, all the bigger market clubs today, the Dodgers, Mets. But when it funneled down to the smaller market clubs, the classic ownership group that I'm sure people in Baltimore will agree with me, but I'm like, why should the Angeloses get more money? They just don't spend it and they don't bother to compete, but then they get more money from the teams that do spend it and are trying to put a winning product on the field. So I always had a problem with owners like the Angelos getting paid via the luxury tax.
Yeah, and the Angelos they sold the Orioles a couple years ago, much to the enjoyment and the praises and the singing of the Baltimore fans.
Yeah.
Shout out to our guy Eric Arditi of Barstool Sports, who's a friend of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta bring him in too.
Oh yeah,
I keep saying that too.
Yeah, no, but there's so many people that we want to have on sometimes between repeat guests and then having somebody else on the show. I mean, yeah. It's always good.
I mean, I also have to wonder if the contract negotiation, now that it's over with Vlad Guerrero, once he can get things going, because as of right now, these are his stats. He's batting .284, which isn't terrible.
No,
he's only struck out 11 times. He's got 7 RBIs, 4 doubles, 19 hits, and 67 at bats. Here's the glaring stat: 0 home runs.
Yeah, that's shocking. Yeah,
he's due. He's due for a home run, and for a guy who hit 48 home runs in 2021, but he's gone down ever since. He hit 32 in 2022, 26 in 2023, and 30 last season. Granted, you could say, oh, he's had some bad years, this and that. He's played in nearly every game since. He's played in every game. He played 160 in 2022, 156 2 years ago, 159 last year. So he's a healthy guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Was it him that a couple of years ago people were like, oh, it's because he became vegan, his power's gone? I can't remember. There was a player where people were saying that, oh, he's vegan or vegetarian. I can't remember which. His power's gone. Just kind of like when CC lost that weight, there was a contingent of people that were like, he's not the power pitcher he was.
It was Prince Fielder.
Oh, that was Prince. That's right. Okay.
Man, talk about a career it should have been extended, man.
Oh yeah,
Prince Fielder. I missed that guy.
Prince. That's right. That was Prince. I got the two sons swapped. I got them messed up. Cecil, shout out to you. We know you're watching the show.
Yeah. So I'm looking at this contract. I'm not mad at it because his base salary is not too awful. Where if he does get traded, the team he gets traded to isn't going to have to pay a whole lot of money, because a lot of that $500 million, the 325 million of it is locked up in signing bonuses.
Yeah.
So this is what would be a cap friendly deal if this were in the NFL.
Yeah, that's true. And they always find ways in the long term deals pioneered by Charles Wang of the New York Islanders at the time with that DiPietro deal. But there's no way, even if Vlad knocks everybody's socks off for the first 5 years of that deal, there are going to be more bad years physically as far as what Vlad can do on that deal than good.
So here's the kicker. I just went to the end of the article. He gets a full no trade provision and a hotel suite on road trips.
Oh man!
Way to play the game, Vlad.
Yeah.
Oh man,
who's Vlad's agent? We got to get him to represent us on the show.
That is a great question. Vlad Guerrero.
It'd be awesome. It would be awesome if it was his dad. He's just like,
so he has two agents. Barry Praver and Scott Shapiro.
Okay. All right.
So hey guys, contract, for a contract for somewhere else, be happy to feel free to represent us.
Yeah.
Gonna go to the comment section real quick before we move on. Playmaker saying thank you and congratulations to the Florida Gators. So thank you, third basketball title. And Victor Locke, our friend of the show, saying evening, gentlemen. Evening to you, Victor Locke.
Evening, Victor.
Or as we like to call him around here, You're welcome. All right, we're going to move on to our next subject, which is Travis Hunter, who is from the University of Colorado, Heisman Trophy winner this past season, playing both wide receiver and defensive back. He was reported to have saying that if it were up to him, he would play both ways. He would play both wide receiver and defensive back. And this is courtesy of CBS Sports, where he said, this is just one quote from the article. I'll have to read the entire thing, where he says, and I quote, it's never playing football again because I've been doing it my whole life. I feel like I could dominate on each side of the ball, close quote. So Dustin, you had thoughts. You would text me about this while I was out and about this afternoon.
Yeah.
You had some thoughts about this. So I'm going to let you drive on this subject. Go right ahead.
Well, I was just surprised to see this. And I mean, on the one hand, I respect the confidence and the belief in oneself. You have to respect that, in my opinion. And he has proven that he can play both sides of the ball at a high level because he's doing it in the NCAA. He did it, and he received the Heisman because of it. However, he's not the first to do that at the college level. Charles Woodson apparently could have played both ways if he wanted to. But the thing is, it was parts of the other quote, and full disclosure, I saw this from Adam Schefter's Instagram. So if I get this wrong, I'm doing this from memory. But he said, there's a second part where he said, if any NFL team asks me to play only one side of the ball, I don't want to play football. And then after that, he said, I've been doing it that way my whole life. It's more that he said something to the akin of, it's more that I want to prove them wrong than prove them right. That's my motivation behind trying to do this, because people are saying I can't do it. But the other thing that he said, and all I got with these quotes, I did not have the context of the quotes, but it just flummoxed me at work so much that I had to ask Ryan if we could discuss it tonight, because another quote attributed to that is he said, I also want to be the first overall pick. To me, those quotes directly contradict each other because guess what? If you vocally say that if any NFL team asks you to give up playing both sides of the ball, you don't want to play, and then you turn around and say, I want to be the first overall pick, NFL teams are going to stay away from that. NFL teams, they're the ones that have moved DBs to wide receiver. They've moved wide receiver. They've moved people all over the place. Former quarterbacks have been converted to wide receivers in the NFL. There are stories where somebody was told, you're not a quarterback, and they say, I'm a quarterback and I can play quarterback, and they proved it. But NFL teams, most players' outlook is, if I can get a spot on the roster, I'm going to try to get on the roster. Now, that's not always the case. There are some higher profile players that were given a shot and are given a shot at whatever position, and their persistence. But Julian Edelman, he was a former quarterback, and they said, hey, you're going to play receiver. And he wasn't happy about it, but he went out and he carved out quite a career for himself at wide receiver, if I do say so myself. So to me, those quotes just diametrically oppose. But like I said, I'm not an athlete the caliber of Travis Hunter. I am not. I respect the drive, but I can't think of any player that's ever done that, Ryan, at the NFL level, that's played on both sides of the ball. The NFL is a different level than the college game. Everyone will tell you that. Every single person. And for him to come out and say, I'm going to do this in the NFL, and then dovetail it with, if they ask me not to, I'm not going to want to play football anymore. And then dovetail that with, I want to be the first overall pick. Those things can't happen. That's just my opinion.
So he went on in the article on CBS Sports, and this is what he also said. He said, I quote, "The NFL is a slow game. You huddle. How's the contact nowadays? Minimal. That game is more conducive to him being successful." Oh, this is Shedeur Sanders saying this about about Travis.
About
Hunter.
Travis, okay.
And these comments are also egregious. So just gonna take it what it is. So Shedeur Sanders was asked if he could succeed as a two-way player, and this is what Shedeur Sanders says: "Quote: The NFL is a slow game. You huddle. How's the contact nowadays? Minimal. That game is more conducive to him being successful than a college game. College is tempo, tempo, tempo. Now you're talking about you have to be in shape. Pros, how many seconds between plays? Please. He's going to go jogging after every darn game because he's going to have all that energy, man. He's built for this." Close quote. Come on.
Oh, man.
Look, I saw that the University of Colorado is going to actually retire both Travis Hunter's and Shedeur Sanders' number. It's like, yeah, you're going to retire the number of a 13-12 career quarterback who was 8th in the Heisman voting. And they're I think there's only, he's their second Heisman Trophy winner. Rashaan Salam was the first.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Russian Rashaan. But that comment, I think that comment, even more than Travis Hunter's comment about not wanting to play football because he can't play both ways, is the worst comment.
Yeah.
Oh, the NFL is a slow game. How do you know?
Yeah.
Look, I know your dad played, and your dad was one of the fastest men on the field at all times, but that comment's gonna.
Oh yeah.
Woo!
Especially you take a receiver like Tyreek Hill wherever he ends up playing next year, because it might not be Miami, and apparently Miami and Jalen Ramsey are parting ways. But we'll talk about that tacitly later in the show. That's what's called the tease, ladies and gentlemen. How's it related? You'll find out once we get to our topic in that segment. But like Tyreek Hill, he'll want to light Travis Hunter up for that. That quote, he'll say, "I'm faster than anybody in the NFL." You know, he will take that as drive, and he will just try to blow by Travis Hunter. Can he do it? We'll find out if Travis Hunter is drafted he'll be drafted.
Of
But
course.
will he be allowed to play both sides? Because I think he's going to lose that battle. That's going to be somebody in his
He is.
representation has got to say, "Hey, Travis, like the NFL is going to tell you what they want you to do.
Yeah.
They believe you're talented at both positions enough to be drafted, but I mean, we've never seen anybody do it, and sometimes there's reasons for that."
Yeah, even Charles Woodson had to face facts.
Yes.
When he was drafted back in his playing day.
Yeah.
You got to decide, what do you want to do? You want to play wide receiver? Do you want to return kicks? Or do you want to be a corner?
Yeah.
He chose corner. He chose correctly.
Yeah. And he's in the Hall of Fame because of it.
Yep. And he's got a Super Bowl ring because of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think the coach who drafts him, the team that drafts him that night, they're going to have to have a come in Jesus moment. And actually, it's probably going to be the day, a couple days after, because usually the players get flown out to each location after the draft is over, and they meet the team. They go to the team. They get their measurements for their jerseys, their measurements for their helmets and whatnot, for the equipment. And they meet with the teams, and they get contracts signed. They're going to have a come to Jesus moment with Travis Hunter and say, "Look, we know you want to play in the NFL. We feel you could be most valuable on this side of the board, this side of the ball. That's why we drafted you.
Yep.
And if you want to be a part of the team that you can make an immediate impact on, we feel you could play better on this side of the ball. But none of this two-way crap. Yeah. I'm sorry. We know you're confident in your abilities. Maybe we put you out there in emergency situations. We make you an emergency.
That's what I was going to say.
We make you an emergency defensive back. But you got to make a decision. And we feel that you're best suited on this side of the ball. This is where you can help us out the most. That's why we drafted you." And I think the reason why he wants to be drafted first overall, because that's where the money's at.
Yep.
First round picks get more money because it's a tier system with rookies. Mm-hmm. You get paid a good amount of money if you're a first round pick. And then the scale decreases with every pick in the second round, third round, fourth round, and so on, all the way up to Mr. Irrelevant, who gets paid probably league minimum for rookies unless he succeeds.
Unless he Brock Purdy's.
Unless he's Brock Purdy. Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. Team's going to draft him. They're going to say, "You're going to play here. If you don't want to play here, we'll send you somewhere else."
Yeah.
We'll send you to the team that's crazy enough to let you do what you want to do.
Which I think there's only one team that would even attempt it, and I think it would be Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys.
Now listen here, Travis. Listen here, Travis. We want you to play both sides of the ball, just like I did at the University of Arkansas way back in the day.
When I played for the Arkansas Razorbacks. I don't know if I've told the story to you. Everybody else at the table is like, "Jerry, we've heard it 1,000 times."
I don't know if you've known this, but I used to play for the university. We won a national championship there. Can I get some salt on this? On my sausage McPatty?
Steven, can you clean my glasses?
Oh, Jerry, you belong in a home. All right, we're gonna move on to our next subject before we go to our league mandate commercial break. This came up in my timeline today.
I couldn't believe this.
And I couldn't believe this. The reactions are just as you would expect, but I gotta play the clip for context. A FanDuel Sports Network sideline reporter for the Atlanta Braves joined the team in Toronto for their series with the Toronto Blue Jays. And this happened last night, where he's up in the suites, and he's playing the field, and not in the way you'd think. So I'll go ahead and I'll play this clip from FanDuel. This is courtesy of FanDuel Sports Network for the Atlanta Braves. Let's go ahead and listen and find out what happened, and we'll talk about it a little bit more. All right, Dustin. Let me get your reaction. Let me get your reaction first, and then we'll talk about the internet's reaction. I'll give
All
you my
right.
reaction too.
All right. All right. Well, she is right to be skeptical, but I think he was laying the groundwork. He was laying the groundwork, and that's why the announcers in the booth caught the vibe. They picked up what Mr. Wiley was trying to subtly, I think, lay down here. Maybe not so subtly, but he also, it's immediately he turns to that's what I noticed. He turned to the girl on my right watching the clip, and he's like, they want me to get your number. Like they said the numbers, but he made his selection in that moment. He zeroed in. And he went for it. And that could have blown up in his face. Risky maneuver, but he must have had a reasonable level of confidence.
I think part of it was to put on by the
Yes.
guys in the booth.
They were spurring him on. Yes.
I will say this. I watched this clip a couple times, and I was noticing the body language of the one on the left, Lauren, her name was.
Mm-hmm.
And I was noticing the one on the right, Kayla. I think it was Kayla.
Yeah, I think so.
Now, out of the two, I mean, Kayla is definitely, to me, a little bit more attractive. But Lauren's being playful. She's playing along.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Kayla's that. I'm sorry I did say this. Kayla's that girl who is good looking and she knows it.
Mm-hmm.
And she's gonna either play hard to get or she's gonna shut you down immediately. Lauren is like the average girl who plays along, who's like being all cutesy, and that's exactly what happened. Is that she was playing along. Now we don't know if Wiley and Lauren actually did exchange numbers.
Yeah.
She might have just put in somebody's number.
Yeah.
She might have put it in the rejection hotline for all we know. Is that still around?
Yeah, I think it is. Yes.
Okay, so it would be kind of funny if this is how the relationship started.
Yes. Yeah.
How I Met Your Mother, kids.
Fast forward 3 years, they're married and they have a kid.
Yeah, right. They're living in downtown Atlanta, or wherever Wiley is next. But the internet reaction on Twitter. This was posted by Miles Garrett TV. Miles Garrett, sports reporter for Fox 5 Atlanta. Giving a shout out to Wiley Ballard. Wiley Ballard is the reporter for the sideline reporter for the Braves. He's also and more. Well, his Twitter profile says and more. So so the reactions are mixed. A lot of it is support, laughter, playing along. A lot of them, particularly of the, how could I say this? How could I say this diplomatically?
I don't know what's coming, everybody.
The scolding part of the internet.
Okay.
Are very, especially the female persuasion. They are big mad. And I'll read a couple tweets, for example. It says not one of them. I won't read the account names, but you can go look for yourself. It's under @Miles Garrett TV. And one of them says, not to pile on, but yikes, insane double standards in sports. Okay. Another account saying this is actually not the standard and it never should be. Hope this helps, with a facepalm emoji. Let's see. No, blasting this quote pickup on live sports is wrong on so many levels. Then again, it's not like you're a professional journalist. There is ethics. All right. That is definitely grammatically incorrect. But then again, it's the social media.
Yeah.
You'll get points off for bad grammar. This is gross. Why is this okay? Has anyone chimed in mentioning how unprofessional this is? Let's see. Oh, there's one account that said, I met my husband because he was a producer on 680 The Fan, and I was giving him crap on Twitter about one of his hot takes. He emailed and asked me out for a drink, and now we've been together 15 years in the fall. Origin stories, baby.
Yeah.
So the reactions are mixed. I think this is playful and fun.
Yeah.
And let's see what happens. But we got the other side who's very put off, saying it's unprofessional. But it's live TV.
Yeah.
what are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean, I get that. There is a level of professionalism, and I understand too. Some people may have been mad because it felt like that Wiley was putting pressure on her and like putting her in a situation where she had to respond. But I think both of their dynamic was pretty playful about it. I didn't read that as anybody feeling uncomfortable, but I don't know. I'm not in either of their heads. You know, and so you try to examine something from all angles, right? But I don't think there was any major harm in this.
No, no, there isn't. But there's also people are bringing up, and especially the women on this saying there's a double standard. No way a female could get away with this. I think you just have to have a little fun. Baseball is a slow game. You have to keep yourself entertained, and you have to keep the watching audience entertained as well. Because baseball, things can go on during play, like what we just watched.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you gotta keep people interested. You gotta keep viewers tuned in, locked in, have a little fun.
Yeah.
That to me, that's harmless. And I would have said the same thing if it was a female sideline reporter.
Yeah.
Like if she were up in the booth and there were two semi-attractive guys or attractive dudes in the booth, and she's talking to them, and she gets hit one of their numbers or both their numbers,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been mad. It's fun.
Yeah. I wouldn't have been mad either, but I do think there would have been a segment of people that would really go after a woman if she did that. But I think we also live in an age where people are always going to go after people for doing that. And it's a sad thing. It is a sad thing, but there's lots of double standards all over, you know, that it's tough because when you get into, well, that's a double standard. Well, that's a double standard. Eventually you could discuss everything as a double standard, and women
Mhm.
have to deal with a lot more than we do. I understand that, or people that identify as males. But that's not a discussion for this show. But all I'm saying is, if you talk about something long enough and examine something long enough, you can find fault with it. You can find fault with it. And for me, a big part of identifying things is like the situation. And I think this situation, both parties were playful with it. Both parties um, seemed to be okay with it, for lack
Yeah,
of a better term.
yeah, yeah. If she would have shot him down live in the air, it would have been still would have been hilarious.
Yeah, yeah. And he would have been getting roasted for even trying it.
Of course.
That's the thing, you know, context. It matters sometimes. I don't know. This is this is a sticky wicket. I understand how some people could view this in different lights, but that's what makes us people. That's what
Yeah.
makes us people. People are going to see things differently. But in the internet age, I think I'll just leave it at this. Everything is under a microscope. Everything. Because
Yeah.
everybody has a platform, et cetera, et cetera.
And also, if you're someone who's online who's constantly looking for something to be mad about, go
Yeah.
outside, go touch
Yeah.
grass,
Yeah.
as the kids say. Please.
Yes.
All right, we're going to take our network mandated commercial break. When we come back, we've got plenty more to talk about, including Buffalo Sabres playoff drought continuing, and our favorite athletes that we watched who wore the number 26. Also, Dustin's got some of his favorite professional wrestling matches coming up in the list. But stay tuned, stand by for more. No credentials required.
Righteous Felon Craft Jerky is the official jerky of Belly Up Sports. For over a decade, Righteous Felon Craft Jerky has led the American meat snack revolution by concocting delicious, adventurous, U.S.-sourced jerky recipes for uncompromising carnivores across the country. With 15 different flavors to choose from, Righteous Felon has all jerky lovers covered, and by using promo code BELLYUP, you will get 15% off your purchase at RighteousFelon.com. Do your taste buds a favor today and rip into a bag of Righteous Felon jerky.
Yeah, StreamYard is playing some games with us with the pre-rolls, but in the meantime, we're going to tell you all about righteousfelon.com. Craft jerky, excellent stuff, 100% beef, all natural. No added flavor, no added flavors, no antibiotics. It's all great beef, 100% grade A beef.
Mhm.
And it's not just doesn't go just for their jerky. Also goes for their biltong, which is the African inspired air drying method for the jerky, for the craft jerky. You've also got the beef sticks. They're wonderful beef
Yes.
sticks, which is 100% beef. Also, their the street taco
Mhm.
sticks, meat sticks, they're 100% pork, which is,
Yes.
and their turkey jerky, 100% real turkey. Tastes like a turkey dinner.
Mhm.
And again, those beef sticks, 100% beef. Unlike the ones you see in the store, where their primary ingredient is pulverized chicken.
Oh, for shame.
For
For shame.
shame. For shame. But it's not just for human consumption. As Dustin can attest to, they're also, we got some dog treats out there.
Yes, the Ranger dog treats. I gave Pickles some duck ones this past weekend when I was over there. He loved them like he always does. He goes crazy when the Ranger dog treats come out. I think it's gotten to the point where he recognizes the bag, and I use the promo code to get those. And I've been saying on the show that I needed to get another order in. I did, Ryan. I got some barbecue beef jerky. I enjoyed that. I ate it at work. It was in my desk I thought it would be in my desk for at least a day. It didn't make the day. I snacked on it while I was there. And then my preferred option, I will say, I have many more of the flavors of the jerky to try, but the beef sticks might be the way for me. I ordered some more beef sticks. I got their variety pack. I have the habanero Escobar, which I've had before. I like. It's very hot. I got some of the OG hickory, great flavor. I got the Mexican or the street taco, which I really enjoyed, and that might be one of my favorite flavors. And I did try the turkey stick, Ryan, the lemon pepper turkey stick. Oh man, sorry, Righteous Felon, and that was delicious. So I need to get more. But don't be like what I just mispronounced there. Go and get some Righteous Felon craft beef jerky. You won't be disappointed. Type in the promo code BELLYUP to get 15% off your order.
And as an added bonus, for every order over $50, you get free and fast shipping. So you can combine the order, the free shipping with the 15%. Get yourself some free and fast shipping. When I've ordered it in the past, it's in my house in a matter of 2 days.
Yeah.
There's a box right at my door, my doorstep, and then it says Righteous Felon, and it's awesome craft jerky. It's delicious. It's one of our best. It's one of our premier sponsors here at Belly Up Sports. Again, righteousfelon.com. Promo code BELLYUP at checkout, 15% off your order, and free and fast shipping for every order over $50. And Righteous Felon, you get the coveted, no credentials required seal of approval. There's
Absolutely.
poppers.
Absolutely. Tony Atlas likes it too.
That I love me some Righteous Felon craft jerky. Speaking of wrestling, Dustin, we got to talk about your favorite professional wrestling matches, considering it's WrestleMania season.
Yeah.
In this edition of The List.
You just made the list!
Oh my gosh.
Full disclosure, we were going to push this to Saturday, but then I remembered I wouldn't be here Saturday. So tune in Saturday like I will, because I want to get Ryan's matches.
Right.
But I wanted to get mine in before I'm absent. And to those of you who'll miss me on Saturday, don't worry, I'll be back. To those of you who are rejoicing because I'm not here Saturday, love you too. But my matches, okay, let me disclaimer, these are going to define the era that I was watching wrestling religiously, okay? And also, I'm going to refer to a match, and it might make people mad, but keep in mind, I'm referring only to the match itself. Okay, we're going to start out. I'm going to do one honorable mention because it almost made the list, but I couldn't do it when I started considering the other matches. Honorable mention, and the only one, this is the only one I'm doing. There is a tag match that is the 1-2-3 Kid and Razor Ramon versus Shawn Michaels and Big Daddy Cool Diesel. So that right there shows you. I watched this match so many times. It was on the WWF home videos. Do you remember getting those home videos, Ryan? And Todd Pettingale was on the tapes, and he gave codes for NBA Jam. He gave codes, both the Sega version and the Super Nintendo version, of how to like automatically set yourself on fire mode and stuff like that. So I remember I watched this tape to the degree that I remember that. Shout out to my cousin Zach for getting me that. But that match, in all seriousness, go watch that tag match. It shows why Shawn Michaels is one of the greatest wrestlers. We all know Scott Hall was uber talented and underrated Sean Waltman, okay? Sean Waltman could make anybody look good. Kevin Nash, I love you. I was a huge Diesel fan back in the day. That's why I got the tape. But you are not on the caliber of everybody else in the match. But he does a good job in the match, too. It tells a story in a little tag team match. That's my honorable mention. But now we go.
You know the Kevin Nash trifecta, don't you?
Yes.
The big boot, the big boot, the power bomb, and a torn quad.
Yep. Yes. The torn quad. And also his cameo as Super Shredder in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze. But Kevin Nash, shout out to you, man. I'm serious. I was a huge Diesel mark back in the day. Okay. Number 3. We're going to go, and this is kind of on the fly because I couldn't figure out where to put this matchup, but this one falls in number 3, Halloween Havoc 1997, Rey Mysterio Jr. versus Eddie Guerrero. This match was good. This is the match where Eric Bischoff has admitted that he didn't like the storyline. He didn't like it. Upon retrospect, he wouldn't have done it, but this was the match where Eddie Guerrero was trying to remove Rey Mysterio's mask. It was the start of this storyline. It was the start of the Eddie Guerrero turn in WCW. I am putting this on the list because there was no way. I loved the cruiserweights in WCW back in the day. That's why I started. Nitro was the first one to move to 3 hours. Raw was only 2 hours back in the day.
And pre-taped.
Yes. And Nitro was live. But what I would do, I was a WWF guy through and through. I was. But WCW always got me for that first hour. 1, because it was on.
Yep.
2, the cruiserweights. I'm going to put the NWO at 3 because once the NWO started taking off, I did start watching more. But I always tuned in because I knew that Nitro was going to start hot with those cruiserweights. And here's the thing, everybody. I know that some of these moves, you're going to go back and you're going to watch this match, particularly Rey Mysterio Jr. They talk about how innovative his moves are, and you're going to see moves you've never seen before. And it's true. Some of the moves now are considered commonplace, especially if you watch AEW. Everybody's just jumping around the ring all the time. But this was different. And Eddie and Rey, their chemistry is obviously, because we know about their out-of-ring friendship. But also, they worked together. You could see them. They were putting together a story in this match, and they had moments where they allowed it to breathe. Go check that one out. That's my number 3. Number 2.
So, go ahead. Don't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you know where they developed that chemistry?
That was when they were wrestling as Lucha Libres in Mexico, correct?
No. ECW.
ECW. Oh, I didn't know Ray was.
Yeah.
I knew Eddie was in.
Ray was in ECW. Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, Chris Jericho. They were all in AEW. They all in ECW before they went to WCW. If you watch the Raw versus, if you watch the Monday Night War documentary, it's like a 14, 15
I gotta watch that
series on Peacock.
Yeah,
and I'll lend you my username and password again. But it's like a 14, 15, 16 episode series and this is recorded in 2014. So like some of the
Mhm.
names and faces they're still familiar. They're still with the WWE.
Yeah.
Like some of them look a little bit different now than they did now.
Yeah.
11 years later. But they talk about how ECW played a factor in the Monday Night Wars because their talent would be either lended to WWE or they'd sign with WCW.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's where you saw the chemistry. Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, Chris Jericho, all those guys who were considered lucha libres and middleweights. That's where they developed that chemistry.
Okay,
in
gotcha.
the ECW, in the
Yeah.
ECW arena. ECW. Okay, number 2.
Yeah, number 2 for me. Number 2, and I wrestled with this one for a long time. Okay, this is the match. This is the one. But I'm going to talk about Bret Hart. Bret Hart did not have many high moments in WCW. And you're thinking, how do 2 WCW matches make your list when you said you're a WWF guy? We'll get to WWF. The Owen Hart trivia match. Okay, the Owen Hart tribute match. Sorry. Bret Hart versus Chris Benoit. And I know there's a lot of things surrounding Chris Benoit. It's controversial to bring up Chris Benoit, but I am talking just about the match. This match was just on Nitro. It was on a random Nitro, and this is a match that fans still talk about years later. It was Bret Hart, who was at the peak of Bret Hart. Love him or hate him, is one of the best technical wrestlers we've ever seen. The way that he works with other in-ring talent, and Chris Benoit at one time was high caliber, and those two men went out and they made a heck of a match together. You could tell they gave it everything they had. And the friendship between the two men, or I shouldn't say friendship because I don't know, but the respect shown to each one of them throughout the match is something. And also the announcing team, which, side note, my favorite announcing team in the WCW Monday Night Wars era was Mike Tenay, Tony Schiavone, and Bobby the Brain Heenan. I thought it was one of the few 3-man announce crews that worked. They said that, this is after Owen Hart. This is after everything happened. I can't remember how long after it happened, but they said, we didn't think Bret Hart would ever wrestle again. And I don't think a lot of people did. I don't think that's storytelling. I think they were surprised. They talk about how they were surprised to see him come back. And they both men wanted to do this match, and it's a good one. Go out and watch it. Again, it's a different era. It's a little slower, but both men gave everything they had. It's a technical wrestling match. I like those kind, and you can't deny Bret Hart's talent for working with others. And irrespective of everything else, I know that Chris Benoit's in-ring actions are linked with the horrific acts that he did outside of the ring. But technical wrestling ability, this match is something to watch. Go out and check it out. I thought about not putting it on this list, but I was like, this is one of the matches I remember. I
gotta do it.
And I remember being blown away because I'm like, this is just on Nitro. It wasn't a pay-per-view. It wasn't a thing. But it brings me to my number 1 match. You know all about the era that I've watched now. I've painted the picture for you. I didn't watch in the golden era. I don't watch the current product largely. Sometimes I'll dip in, but I don't watch the current product. I grew up on the new generation. Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Diesel, Undertaker, although I grew up on all that stuff. Shawn Michaels, I know everyone says that Ric Flair is the wrestler that can make anyone look good, and no disrespect to the Nature Boy, but my other pick for that is Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels can wrestle with anybody and make anyone look good if he wants to, because back in the day, Shawn, we all know he could be difficult, but Shawn's talent, undenied. I loved Shawn Michaels when I was a kid and when I was watching. He takes my number 1 spot. He was in the honorable mentions. He takes the number 1 spot. Hell in a Cell, number 1. He and The Undertaker. That's my match. That match, everyone remembers Foley and Taker. And trust me, I remember Foley and Taker too. Hats off to Mick. I love Mick Foley. I think he does a great job of telling a story. A lot of people discount Mick Foley. They say all he can do is take pain and he's like a sadistic. That's not true at all. Mick Foley was trying to. The reason that Mick Foley and The Undertaker went so hard in Hell in a Cell and Mick Foley had himself literally thrown off the top is because Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker set that match bar so high. And Undertaker, he's still youngish Undertaker at this time, so he can do the thing where he walked on the top rope and jumped down and showcased his agility and the things that he could do for a big man that not a lot of people his size could do. But Shawn Michaels is working his behind off, and Undertaker's been very candid, Shawn as well, that both of them did not like each other at this time. That has changed, but they both respected each other and they both wanted to do the best they could for the other one during that match. That match is the one that set the table for Hell in a Cell 2, Foley Undertaker. Go back and watch it. Shawn Michaels is perhaps one of the greatest wrestlers to ever do it. There's a reason they call him Mr. WrestleMania. He could be counted on to bring another level. Shawn Michaels, although difficult personally at that time, his talent is almost unmatched in my opinion, and he can make anybody look good if he wanted to.
Yeah, he described himself in the Mr. McMahon documentary. He says, back then, I was a bit of a prick.
Yeah.
And pretty much everyone in the locker room outside of Triple H would agree.
Yeah, everyone outside of, and back when Scott Hall and Kevin Nash were still there, they were friends with Shawn. They stood up for Shawn, but they also acknowledged, like I can remember seeing a clip of Kevin Nash and he said the stuff that Hunter put up with, he goes, we don't know why, because he said both Scott and I, and he goes, granted, Scott and I were pretty crazy. But he said both of us reached a point with Shawn where we're just like, we can't like deal with this anymore. And he said Hunter was always there. Paul was the one that picked up the pieces with Shawn and always stood by Shawn no matter what.
Right. Kevin Wilson from Belly Up Fantasy Baseball and Fantasy Sports saying, happy Tuesday, gentlemen. Happy Tuesday to you too, sir. And that has been Dustin's edition of The List.
You just made the list!
Oh my gosh. My list will be revealed on Saturday morning during the Saturday brunch with guest to be determined. But I assure you that they'll be wrestling fans. That's for sure. All right. We got one more quick topic before we finally close out the show. The Buffalo Sabres. Last week, their playoff drought continued. They had a very outside chance of making the Eastern Conference playoff. Unfortunately, that was not to be. And now, this is now 14 consecutive seasons. The Buffalo Sabres are out of the NHL, of the Stanley Cup playoffs. That is the longest drought in professional sports to go, only topped by my New York Jets. Which brings us to this debate. It's a small debate. And I've inquired about having a poll put up on Belly Up Sports on our channels about this vote and discussion. Which of these two teams, the Buffalo Sabres, my New York Jets, which of these two teams will break their playoff drought first?
I have an idea, but do you want to lead off or do you want me to go?
You know what? I'll lead off with this one.
Yeah, lead off. Since
we're talking about my favorite football team here.
Mm-hmm.
I believe, and this is going to come back to haunt me. I swear it's going to come back to haunt me. I think the New York Jets will break their playoff drought before the Buffalo Sabres will. And I'll tell you why. Because I think they're one or two pieces away from actually going on a run to the playoffs. They got the defense. Need to straighten a couple things out there. They need another interior lineman who can stop the run. On offense, they just need a quarterback and a left and a line that stays healthy. That's basically it. everything else is already in peace. They got one of the best corners in the game. They've got one of the best young wide receivers in the game, and Garrett Wilson. They've also got a two-headed backfield with Braylon Allen and Breece Hall. And on defense, they just need to stop the run. Quinton Williams needs some help on the inside. They've got edge figured out. Will McDonald on one side of the ball, Jermaine Johnson coming back this year on the other side of the ball. It's going to be a two-headed threat all the way with that team. That pass rush is going to be incredible next year. But I also think you've got a coach in Aaron Glenn who is going to be tough on his players, but he's going to be fair to his players. And I think they'll reward him with some wins. I think they got a smart guy as their new GM, Darren Muji, who did some pretty good things in free agency as far as I'm concerned. They still have the draft to go, which the draft will be 2 weeks from Thursday.
Which is insane.
It's coming up real fast.
Yeah.
So I think that they get a quarterback for the future. I think they'll draft him in the second round, or they'll trade up back into the first round and select somebody like a Jackson Dart or Kyle McCord from Syracuse. I'm hoping one of those two guys will fall to them. And it seems like Woody Johnson is finally willing to get out of his own way and let management and coaching finally do their jobs. Because that's what has kept them from going to the playoffs, is when after the second playoff where Rex Ryan took the Jets to the championship game, in the conference championship game in 2010. After that season, Woody Johnson said, "Okay, I'm going to get myself involved in the affairs of player personnel operation," and that's when things went downhill. But I think hopefully, finally, Woody Johnson has had the come to Jesus with himself and said, "I gotta back off. I gotta let the coaches coach. I gotta let the personnel guys do their thing," and hopefully that leads to the Jets finally breaking their playoff drought. Because I don't know, for whatever reason, Terry Pagula, and more so his wife, I guess his wife is more involved in the Buffalo Sabres day to day, just can't seem to get it right. So that's my opinion. Dustin, floor is yours.
Well, let me say, you laid out some good reasons. And I'm not going to try to equal your Jets knowledge because I don't have it, but I'm going to come at this from a different angle because I too agree with you. I think the answer is New York Jets. I think they break it first. And I'm going to give you my reason why, and it's like I said, it's a little bit of a different angle. The Buffalo Bills have this division, right? This is their division now. But I think if you look back in the day, it was fait accompli. The Patriots were going to win that division. The Jets were competing for a wild card spot by default. That was where they were because at the time the Bills weren't good either. The Dolphins, mixed results to say the least. So that division, the AFC East, even when the Jets had that little run there and where Mark Sanchez looked like he might be the future, they were relegated to a wild card spot because of the Patriots. But here's my thing. Patriots aren't the Patriots anymore. They are as close to a rebuild as they're ever going to get. Miami can't play in the cold. They can put up all these offensive points, but as soon as the weather gets cold, they falter. Jason, I'm sorry, prove it until it's not a thing anymore. But here's the thing. Jalen Ramsey and the Dolphins parting ways, apparently, very shortly. Tua's concussion issues. Do the Dolphins have their quarterback? Josh Allen, how much can the Bills put around him? Because the Bills have their own they have made the playoffs, but they can't get by the Chiefs.
Nope. At
some point, those extra miles on Josh Allen, they may catch up with him. And the Bills have not had the best luck with putting certain things around Josh Allen. For now, I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. For now, the division is still Buffalo's. Probably for the short-term future, the division is still Buffalo's. But the Jets have more of a shot than they ever did because of what the division is like around them. I actually like Justin Fields at quarterback for the New York Jets. I think he could do some things. I was secretly hoping that Justin Fields would end up in Seattle as their quarterback. I would have been happy if my Seahawks had Justin Fields. So I probably like him more than most, but I think Justin Fields has gotten a bit of a raw deal in his first few seasons in the NFL. I think he has enough talent. He could be more than a bridge. That Jets defense, they still have that window, and they do have some young weapons on offense for sure. They have Garrett Wilson, as you detailed, and they have a running attack, which we know. I just have faith in Aaron Glenn like you do. But I also feel like it's going to take some time for the Patriots to turn it around. The Buffalo Bills, eventually, I just feel like they're going to come back to earth a little bit because playing later into the season and then not getting over the hump is going to catch up with you. And also, they need Josh Allen to stay healthy because he is so instrumental to their team. So instrumental. I feel like the Jets have a better shot than the Sabres. The Sabres, what a fall from their heyday, their recent heyday, in my opinion, with Chris Drury and Danny Briere and Ryan Miller in net and Lindy Rupp coaching them. You know, that's the Sabres I remember, but that's a lot of years ago now. That's the thing. And they just seem to have been rudderless since then. They can't put it together. Now the Jets, people would argue the Jets are the Jets, they're cursed, blah blah blah. But I think a couple of things are coming together. Like you, I like these hires. I'm not as familiar with them as you are. I don't have the knowledge, but I also think there's a slight erosion of the division. And it's not like it was back in the early 2000s and into the 2010s where the Jets were automatically relegated to a wild card spot competing for it before the season even started because the Patriots were too good and the rest of the division didn't have the horses to compete around them.
Well, we got our answers. So, yeah, I'm hoping that this becomes a poll on our Belly Up Sports on our social channels. Which franchise will break their playoff drought first? Will it be the Buffalo Sabres or the New York Jets? If you're watching on the replay, if you're listening to the podcast, give us a response on social media, on our Twitter, Facebook accounts. Just search "No Credentials Required." Also in the comments section on Spotify and in the comments section on the YouTube, the Belly Up Sports YouTube when this replays tomorrow morning. All right, we're going to conclude our show with our favorite athletes to wear the number 26. This is episode 26 of 2025. We are talking about our favorite athletes that we've seen play that correspond with the episode number of the show. So this is episode 26. So we're talking about our favorite athletes to wear that number 26. And Dustin, I'll have you lead off here. Who is your favorite athlete that you've seen play to wear number 26?
All right. Yeah. Before I start that, I just want to say for some reason I called Mike McDaniels Jason. I don't know why, but I wanted to correct myself before the comments came for me. But we're live, everybody. This is all off the dome. My favorite athlete to wear number 26, and this was, again, I feel like I say this a lot, but 26 wasn't one that jumped out to me. I'm like, who am I going to pick for this? The more and more I thought about it, I was like, wait, he did wear number 26. My favorite athlete to wear number 26 pitched for our beloved New York Yankees is none other than El Duque, Orlando Hernandez. I loved El Duque because of that high leg kick. Yeah. And in 98 and 99, he was instrumental in those Yankee runs. People forget, especially in the postseason, he came up big after there were injuries to some other pitchers on the staff. El Duque was somebody that they could hand the ball and they knew he was going to handle the pressure. Now, he didn't have numbers that would blow you away. 98 was probably, that was the season he came in, if memory serves, and that was probably his best season. Mm-hmm. But he just I always had faith especially in a playoff series, if it says, okay, El Duque's getting the ball, I felt like we had a chance to win. I loved his high leg kick. He felt like someone that didn't really get rattled by the pressure. I love both the Hernandez brothers. His brother Levon, both of them left and came. Levon before El Duque. Obviously, El Duque came a few years later, but that story, leaving Cuba, go watch that 30 for 30. I feel like I'm recommending 30 for 30 every week on this show. Go watch 30 for 30 though, because there's a lot of things in there that I didn't know. But as a kid, I loved to watch El Duque pitch, and I love that leg kick. I just loved it, and it was such a little deception, Ryan. And I feel like there was a craze. Do you remember a commercial? There was like El Duque kind of took over New York for a year or so in the late 90s there. And I remember there was a commercial where people were like, do the Duque, and they were all mimicking the high leg kick and stuff. And then you see David Cohn in the bathroom, and he's like doing something in the mirror, and he's like, what about the Coney? He's like, and El Duque is just like, no. Like it was pretty funny. But I loved watching El Duque pitch. He also got a World Series title with the White Sox, if memory serves. I think that was
2005.
in 2005. Yep. And he finished up his career with the Mets, I think, in 2007. And his last year with the Mets wasn't bad. El Duque, just somebody I enjoyed watching pitch for a long time. He doesn't have numbers that blow you away. But for me, it was just, I don't know why. I enjoyed. He and Ramiro Mendoza were two of my favorite players on that era Yankees, because Ramiro could do anything. He could spot start if they needed a starter, or he was a long reliever. If the starter got blown out, Ramiro was somebody they could put in, and he could kind of stop the bleeding. I always felt that way kind of about El Duque. I just loved the way he pitched. I thought he had a cool nickname, and I just really enjoyed watching him. And maybe it's partially nostalgia goggles because of those Yankee playoff runs in the late 90s, early 2000s. I mean, the 98 Yankee team is one of the best teams that there has been. But El Duque was a big part of it in my memory. I loved watching him pitch.
Kevin saying favorite number 26, Luis Gonzalez, outfield. You're banned
pick
from the show, Kevin.
great pick, Kevin. Even though, oh man, that still hurts.
It does. And yeah, El Duque, four-time World Series champion, was ALCS MVP.
Yes,
I believe in '99.
Yes,
pitched for the Yankees, the White Sox, the Diamondbacks, and the Mets.
Whoa, I completely forgot about the Diamondbacks.
Yeah,
wow.
It was less than forgettable. He was 2-4 with a 6.11 ERA.
Oh, yeah.
9 games started.
Ooh, that's why I forgot about that one. The leg kick wasn't working in Arizona, was it, El Duque, huh?
Nope. I think at that time he was not as effective as he used to be. As his last 2 seasons was with the Diamondbacks and the Mets.
Yeah.
Got traded to the Mets or released. And actually, no, wait, hang on. I'll tell you right down below on Baseball Reference. You know, he was traded to the Mets for Jorge Julio.
Oh man.
So but he actually ended his career with the Washington Nationals because he signs a free agent with the Mets in 2006, granted free agency in 2008, signed with the Texas Rangers as a free agent on June 11th, 2009.
Wow.
Was released on July 17th.
Okay.
Then signed as a free agent with the Washington Nationals on July 2nd, 2010.
Man, I had completely forgot about that run. I thought he finished up in 2007 with the Mets. Jeez, I was way off. And correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Levon pitch for the Nationals as well? So I feel like Levon was around forever. Levon Hernandez.
He was 1996 to 2012, and here's his teams.
Oh man.
The Florida Marlins.
Yep.
San Francisco Giants. Montreal Expos, Washington Nationals, Arizona Diamondbacks, Minnesota Twins, Colorado Rockies, New York Mets,
Wow.
Atlanta Braves, and he finished his career with the Milwaukee Brewers.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, he had a voyage.
Two-time All-Star, World Series MVP in 1997, NLCS MVP, and was also a Silver Slugger. Levon Hernandez was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, Levon, I remember he was like unhittable when he came over for the Marlins.
Yes.
That 97 season, maybe 97, somewhere around.
His career started in 96 with the Marlins.
Okay.
But he did win a Silver Slugger in 2004.
Whoa.
Where he hit two. Well, let's see. Nope. Hang on. Let's look at his batting stats. Yeah, 2004 won a Silver Slugger, was also an MVP with the Montreal Expos, hit 247, struck out only 8 times, had 1 home run, 10 RBI, 7 doubles.
He was ripping it.
And 20 singles. So all in all, he had 29 hits on 81 at bats. Batted 247, won the Silver Slugger as a pitcher. Levon Hernandez did. Man.
Wow.
Crazy. Incredible career. My number 26. Actually, I should have brought this out if you're going to go with El Duque. Homer alert!
Oh, yeah.
Because I have a homer alert for my pick for number 26.
I think I know who your number 26 is going to be.
And spoiler alert for the next couple episodes. Next episode, number 27, number 28, and number 30 will all feature homer alerts.
Number 29 will probably be a homer for me.
Thank you for the warning. And number 31. So just fair warning. Number 26, Patrick Elias, New Jersey Devils, lifelong New Jersey Devil. If you go back in the archives, I talked about the top 10 professional athletes to pass through the Capital Region. And in my lifetime as a Capital Region resident, we've had a number of minor league teams, of professional minor league teams roll to this area. The Albany Colony Yankees, Tri-City Valley Cats when they were affiliated with the Houston Astros.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, we should still be a minor league affiliate for somebody. Rob Manfred. Anyway. Adirondack Red Wings. Capital District Islanders.
Mm-hmm.
Albany River Rats. Adirondack Flames. Adirondack Phantoms. Albany Patroons.
Yeah.
Think about some of the names that came through this area. Mario Ellie. Phil Jackson.
George Carl.
Yeah. Their head coaching careers started partially in a way with the CBA with the Albany Patroons.
Also, Pat Riley from Schenectady.
Schenectady. Played at Schenectady High School, then went on to the University of Kentucky. But my favorite number 26 actually also passed through the Capital Region area as a member of the Albany River Rats back in the day. His rookie season, he was in the Albany area, the Capital Region, as a River Rat from 1995 through part of 1997 when he got called up to the New Jersey Devils and had the greatest career as a New Jersey Devil in the history of the franchise. He ranks first in a number of categories as a New Jersey Devil. Goals, assists, points. I'm going to say games played. Either he or he's second to Ken Denico, because Ken Denico played from 1982 to 2003 and was the OG New Jersey Devil. He's Mr. Devil for a reason. But Patrick Elias leads the New Jersey Devils as a career leader in a number of scoring categories, both in the regular season and in the playoffs. And that playoff, that you could tell he was going to be a star during the 1999-2000 season when he was put on the same line as Jason Arnott and Peter Sikora, another former Albany River Rat, wore number 17 with the New Jersey Devils for a very long time. The A-line was and incredible. And I thought that Patrick Elias had the chance to be. Now, the New Jersey Devils have never had a 100-point scorer in the regular season.
Wow.
In their franchise history for 40 plus years. They've never had a 100-point scorer. He came close. They've also never had a 50 goal scorer. And it was Brian Giunta who came very close in the early 2000s. But Patrick Elias just blew everyone's expectations as a premier scorer for the New Jersey Devils. Helped lead the Stanley Cup run in 2000. Was the primary assist for Jason Arnott's game-winning goal that clinched the cup in 2000 in double overtime in Dallas. 2003 also was a part of the Stanley Cup team. So he's part of 2 of the 3 Stanley Cup teams for the New Jersey Devils. And again, broke all sorts of records, spent his entire career with the New Jersey Devils. Almost became a New York Ranger.
Oh.
Was this close to becoming a New York Ranger. But thankfully, Lou Lamoriello back in the day saved the day. Got that contract, that big contract for him that helped him stay a New Jersey Devil for life. And was also part of a number of Czech Republic teams, or Czechia teams as they call it now, in the World Championships and the Olympics. I'll double check my research, but I think he's a part of the coaching staff for 2026 in Milan with the Czechia hockey team. We'll double check, but I'm pretty sure he has some involvement with that. But he's my favorite number 26. And although I never got to see him personally play in the Capital Region as a member of the Riverettes, I think he's number 2 or number 3 in my subjective list of professional athletes to come through the Capital Region as a minor leaguer. I believe he's number 3 because I think number 2 is Mo Rivera and number 1 is Derek Jeter. But my favorite number 26, Patrick Elias, New Jersey Devils.
Yeah, that's a great pick. Notice that I didn't a little glimpse into how the sausage is made, everybody. Ryan and I usually sometimes we haven't picked the same person yet.
We've come close though.
Yeah, we have, but I usually check in and just say, okay, what sport? Because I don't want to spoil it for myself. I want to react. But I knew Patrick Elias was going to be the pick. I didn't even bother texting you because I knew. Yeah.
Well, just in case you're keeping score at home, number 27 will be hockey. Number 28 will be football. Number 30 will also be hockey. And number 31 will be hockey.
There you go.
There you go. Kevin had a redo because he wasn't want to be banned from the show. Number 26 redo, Kyle Korver, New Jersey Nets. That's right, New Jersey Nets. Not those losers not in loser Brooklyn.
Yeah. And also
New Jersey.
He was on the Sixers as well, wasn't he, later in his career? I can't remember. Kyle Korver. But I will say this, video game fact. Back in college, my old roommate, shout out to you, Matt Latino, if you're watching. We used to play a lot of NBA Live 05 in the dorm room. And Jason Capono and Kyle Korver.
Wow.
If one of us picked a team with Jason Capono, the other one picked a team with Kyle Korver, because Jason Capono had no business being as accurate from 3. Somebody at EA screwed up the stats because Capono could not miss. So Kyle Korver was that good at shooting the 3 ball, though.
So Kyle Korver spent his career with the Philadelphia 76ers. He was drafted by them.
Yeah.
Coming out of Creighton University.
Yep, I remember. He's a Creighton Blue Jay.
Then went to the Utah Jazz, Chicago Bulls, Atlanta Hawks, Cleveland Cavaliers, where he was not on the team that won the NBA championship. LeBron with the block from behind.
That's still one of the greatest calls. I'm so glad we were driving back and heard that.
Utah Jazz again, and then he completed his career in 2020 with the Milwaukee Bucks. So his career spanned 17 seasons, and unfortunately, Mr. Wilson, he was never a New Jersey Net. Although this account would have stand if he was a New Jersey Net. That's where the Nets belong. They belong in New Jersey, not in loser Brooklyn.
Yeah,
but that's just me. But solid pick there, Kyle Korver, number 26. He wore number 26 his entire career. He's currently the assistant general manager with the Atlanta Hawks. That's where he wound up. So good for him.
Not know that.
Good for him. All right, we're going to get out of here. Before we do that, just want to remind you, Saturday's program, guest to be determined. Dustin won't be with us, but he'll be celebrating Easter with his family. Yes, a day early.
Yes, sorry, everybody.
Don't be sorry. If they don't like it, they can
kick rocks.
Go pound sand. But in the meantime, Saturday morning we'll have a special guest. I'll have a special guest to be determined, but I'll make arrangements. We'll carry on from there. But in the meantime, you want to find us and follow us on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for No Credentials Required. Also, check out other podcasts and written articles at bellyupsports.com. On the podcast side, you can subscribe to the podcast wherever you find podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, and Pandora. And also, don't forget to hit that notification button on Twitter and on YouTube. That way, you know when live videos go up, when live shows go up, when any kind of video clips go up, any show announcements go up. You are notified. You are notified of it. Also on the podcast side, rate, review, comment, 5-star rating wherever you rate podcast. On the review side, leave a review if you're on a platform that allows you to leave reviews. And if you're on Spotify, you can comment on every single episode present and in the archives. So go ahead and comment. We'll even read them on the air just for funsies. But in the meantime, thank you for joining us on this edition of No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are presented by Belly Up Sports. For Dustin Henry, I'm Ryan McCarthy. I'll be here on Saturday with special guest to be determined. So stick around, stay tuned, and come on by Saturday morning for the Saturday morning brunch edition. It's WrestleMania season, folks. So tune in. Plenty of wrestling along with other sports. So have a great night, and we'll talk to you again this weekend.
Good night, everybody.
There it is.